Welcome to the Business of Defense. I'm Rich Brady, your host and CEO at the Society of Defense Financial Management. SDFM proudly sponsors this podcast on Federal News Network. I am incredibly pleased to say that today's episode kicks off our third season of the Business of Defense video podcast. Thank you to all our loyal followers who have supported this podcast over the last 2 years. SDFM is the premier association of finance and accounting professionals who work in government and business in the defense sector. Our goal is to bring you inside the companies working to drive change in the defense sector, to hear directly from their business leaders, and to understand how they create value for their companies and their customers. My guest today is Lido Ramadan, founder, president, and CEO of Aminad Consulting. Aminad supports its public sector clients by improving performance and generating long-term sustainable change in a thoughtful, engaged, and results-driven way. As a pure-play consulting and strategy firm focused on performance improvement, business operations, supply chain, acquisition, and results delivery, I look forward to hearing how Lido and his team deliver results of their own and drive change for their defense and federal clients. Lido, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Absolutely, yeah. So over the last 30 days or so, the last month, I've attended 2 conferences within our sector, our own Society of Defense Financial Management Professional Development Institute in Phoenix, and the Institute of Management Accountants Annual Accounting and Finance Conference. And the hot topic at both of those was generative AI. So I'd like to just kind of start right there. And from your perspective in consulting and strategy, what are you hearing from the federal customers? Are they coming to you today already asking for help in this area?
Well, it's definitely a topic. We've been attending a lot of conferences as well, and we've heard a lot of sessions on it, and there's definitely chatter. We have not necessarily been getting a lot of pull for services regarding AI, but we're getting ready for it. We're spending a lot of time, a lot of our consultants, when we have some time between projects. AI has been a big focus of ours, just to get prepared for how we would interject that into our recommendations, understand how it may impact the Department of Defense specifically within the areas that we serve. So we're preparing, but it has not necessarily been a major service delivery area for us.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that a little bit further in the segment. We talk about some of the opportunities, the risks that you're seeing in the defense and federal space. But let's start with kind of from the beginning with Aminad Consulting. Take us back to 2019 and your decision to start the company.
Yeah, so it had always been a dream of mine. I was lucky enough to co-found another company sort of similar to Aminad back in 2003. I was a lot younger then, so I sort of had some years on me, and I was a little wiser, and so the opportunity presented itself in 2019, and I felt like we could really create something special, something enduring that was really founded in the values that mean something to us, in the value that we can bring to our customers, and really with a specific focus in the Department of Defense. So the decision was easy when it presented itself to me. I had a long-term client that I knew we could take work over to, and so we were sort of launched with a client within the Marine Corps, and the rest has kind of been history.
Can we call you a serial entrepreneur then?
I think so. I think so. Is two considered serial?
It's a start, definitely.
Yes,
a start.
it's a start.
So, can you talk about some of the lessons that you took away from that first experience to the second? The pros, the cons. What you learned from that first experience?
Yeah, I think the pros, in a positive way, sort of taking that leap, starting something from scratch really showed me that you can create a values-based culture that is really meaningful for the people you're lucky enough to bring in, and that meant a lot to me. So that was something that I wanted to build on. From a con, like I mentioned, I was a little younger then. We were sort of learning as we were doing. One major lesson learned has been focus. I think at the prior company I started, we were very successful, but we had a lot of small clients, and we were sort of chasing everything.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity in the federal space, and so you see opportunities and you go after it. But that's to the detriment of building large clients that you can really focus on and provide a lot of value and expertise. So with Aminad, we've really been focused exclusively within the Department of Defense, and really, building that expertise that we can continue to deliver.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from startups, that there is a lot of incentive to go after everything out there because it's a target-rich environment. But if you really want to have sustained growth, you've got to be more focused. You also chose not to, you're not an 8A. You're a small business, but not an 8A. Can you talk a little bit about that decision? Because a lot of new start small business will go that route because they know that they can get some guaranteed business, but you decided to go another direction.
Yes, and part of it wasn't fully my choice. There's sort of some compliance areas where I'm not able to become an 8A. That being said, it was an important decision for us to just be small in the sense that we've been able to differentiate ourselves by the what we do, and it's allowed us to grow up faster. I will say we sit across the table from new potential partners and we have conversations about our capabilities, and at the end they ask, well, what socioeconomic status are you? And
right.
I have to admit they tend to be disappointed when I say, well, we're just small. However, it's really allowed us to refine our message, to really focus on what we do, how we bring value to our partners, how we bring value to our clients, and we create a lot of very mutually beneficial partnerships with companies. We've created joint ventures. The 8A status is extremely beneficial. My prior company was an 8A. And having that joint venture allows us to have that benefit and allows us to bring a close partner in as well.
So when you're sitting across from a potential customer, what's your 30-second pitch? What's your elevator pitch?
Can I have 45 seconds?
Yes.
So Aminad is a values-based management consulting firm. We have a proven track record of generating results within cost, performance, readiness, and specifically with defense customers. We really solve your most strategic problems. We stand with you during implementation. We ensure that those results that we might have promised actually happen. And then we move on to the next problem. We're not the type of firm that embeds ourselves within an organization. And we do it with experienced consultants, and we bring on experienced practitioners, generally retired SESs, retired flag officers, and really design solutions that are practical yet ambitious and deliver sustainable change. And we're very nice.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of competition in this space, so I was going to ask, how do you differentiate yourself? Because there are some big companies who do this, well established. But as a small business, how do you differentiate yourself? What's your competitive advantage?
Yeah, we differentiate ourselves with quality, cost, and our people. Quality, we go above and beyond. Our clients will tell you that whatever we promise we deliver, we go above and beyond and deliver more. And then we do it at a cost that is not at the higher end cost that you might see from some of the commercial consulting firms that provide services. So we have an ROI that allows us to stay with you longer. And then our people, we really invest in our people. We attract, retain the best people, and we really invest in our culture so those people stick around and they're wonderful to work with.
Now, getting back to your comment about being focused, what opportunities do you see in the federal space or defense space right now? And does it tie back into the potentials for generative AI or some other technologies?
Yeah, for us, our focus really allows us to invest in our current clients, and that's where we see the biggest opportunities is, we do a lot of work with the Marine Corps and Navy, and we see limitless opportunities within those clients, really starting to evolve our service offerings across those clients, and then working across DoD to work with other potential large customers as well. From a service offering perspective, we do see the potential to bring in technology, specifically within supply chain resiliency. We have a lot of supply chain expertise. It's one of our big domains that we provide expertise in. And we've been working with technology providers and bringing them in to help some of our large clients get visibility across their supply chain, 2, 3, 4 levels down to understand issues like obsolescence, foreign ownership, a lot of other areas. So that's just one of many areas we see new technology being a big benefit.
Now, how many of those, or how much of that opportunity is really driven by the size of the defense budget? I think the numbers they're throwing around this year in the National Defense Authorization Act that's working its way through are going to be higher than last year. So it looks like an overall increase in the top line. Does that create more opportunities, just sustain the opportunities that are out there, help mitigate some of the risks?
It does. The size of the budget, definitely helps. I will say that some of the budget uncertainty has had an impact. I think for us, we can sustain ourselves in growing budgets, even shrinking budgets, but budget uncertainty tends to be the area that we see risk. And, we've been mitigating that by just ensuring we're adding to the pipeline in even a more rapid pace, so we have more opportunities there. But I think for us, we see that as a risk, but we definitely see benefit to the increasing budget and the sizable budget.
We hear that a lot from small to mid-sized businesses, that uncertainty, because it can create problems on the cash flow side. And as you know, cash is king.
Cash is king.
So, what other? I mean, are there other ways of mitigating some of that risk, maybe through a diversification into other areas other than defense, or maybe even outside of the federal sector? Are you looking at the private sector at all?
We have some private sector work. It's predominantly through partners that deliver work to the public sector, or through some very close partners where we might have a service offering that we're trying to sharpen a little, and we might have an opportunity to do that there. But we're small enough now that we really do want to focus within defense. We think that that's the space we're going to grow in. So while we might have some diversification where it makes sense, we have a little bit of work right now at the SEC and at HHS, but the predominance of our proactive business development is still within the defense space.
Yeah. And I get a discussion a lot with people in the field about how important marketing and advertising is for companies. And obviously the large primes, they do a lot of heavy marketing, but they're marketing to different groups. But for a company like Aminad, how important is marketing and advertising efforts in swaying the opinions or understanding of people on the federal side, defense side, into what your company does and wanting to actually talk to you? Is it helpful, or is it, could it go the other way?
Yeah, I think it's very helpful.
Okay.
I think we lean heavily on our marketing. Our social media presence is very important to us. We rely heavily on partnerships, and our partners, they come to me proactively and say, oh, we saw this on your social media, we saw that. I think we try to bring out our culture, or who we are, or what we do. And then we even have customers, a lot of our existing customers, who tell me they're always watching us and seeing who we hired and seeing what we do. So that type of communication of what you're doing, where you are, what you're delivering from a service offering perspective has been very important to us, and we want to continue to do that.
So regardless, you got to get your message out there.
We got to get our message out there. And my wife runs our social media, so I think she does a wonderful job.
Great. You're listening to The Business of Defense with my guest, Lido Ramadan, President and CEO of Aminad Consulting. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Business of Defense, sponsored by the Society of Defense Financial Management on Federal News Network. I'm talking with Lido Ramadan, President and CEO of Aminad Consulting. Lido founded Aminad Consulting in 2019 on 6 core values: kindness, determination, humility, generosity, intellectual curiosity, and simplicity. These core values support a unique company culture that has been recognized consistently as one of the best, most recently by the Washington Business Journal, who awarded Aminad Consulting with the #2 spot for the best places to work for medium-sized companies just last month. First off, congratulations to Lido and Aminad. This is no small feat. And second, let's dive into how they have cultivated this culture to create better value for their company and their customers. Lido, again, congratulations. I took a look at the website. You have been recognized consistently over the last 5 years as one of the best places to work across many categories. How do you do it?
Well, I think at the foundation, you mentioned our values. We stay very true to those values, and we really want to ensure that we're a place that genuinely cares for our people. A lot of the recognition you mentioned is based off of employee feedback. We never take that for granted. We like to just show consistent, genuine care for our people, and we feel like if we do that and we stay true to those values you mentioned, the rest will fall into place, but it is a constant effort.
Now, can you talk a little bit about your own personal background and how that's influenced the culture that you are creating at Aminad, whether that was through your upbringing or the companies that you worked for, the companies you founded? What got you to this point to create these unique core values?
Yeah, a lot of it was my upbringing. My parents are a very strong influence on me professionally and personally. The company is named after my parents. A lot of the values that we mentioned, especially kindness, generosity, humility, and determination, were taken specifically from the things that they showed me that I felt translated extremely well in a professional setting. And my experience co-founding Sensio Consulting Group in 2003 also showed me the benefits of having a values-based culture and refined for me the thinking on the types of values that were really meaningful to me. So when starting Aminad in 2019, it was very clear to me that I needed to select values that meant something to me personally, because I feel like with values, you really have to lead from the top. but also were things that we could really communicate to the firm and really ensure that the people we brought in embodied those values and that it meant something to them as well.
Yeah, how do you, I definitely want to talk about the talent management piece, because that's one of the unique capabilities that you have. You want to be bringing in the right people. How do you identify some of these traits in people in that recruitment stage?
It's something that we are consistently refining. It's very important, especially at a company as small as us. Any mistake you make in recruiting really, it can cause a lot of issues. I think one of the main ways we do it throughout the interview process and recruiting process, but the final round interview is with me, and it's exclusively on values. It's the only thing we talk about. We tick through the 6 company values, we have a conversation. I want to ensure that our candidates understand how important they are to us. I want to ensure that those values really mean something to them, and I want to ensure that they realize if it doesn't mean something to them, it might not be the right place for them as well. We want it to be a fit on both sides, but that's a major way that we try to assess.
How hard is it to maintain that, though, when on one side, you're looking at margins and cash flow and the bottom line, and sometimes that gets stretched, and on the other hand, you're saying, no, but we've got to hold true to these core values. Can you talk about that? Because I think a lot of companies, they want to do the right thing. They want to have those core values. They've got the policy statements, but they don't always live it because the pressures on the other side are too great. So how are you able to maintain that balance?
I have a very strong fundamental belief that if we stay true to our values, that will take care of itself. And yes, it's challenging sometimes. You need to make some decisions sometimes that are counter to profitability. However, by retaining and showing the firm that you're staying true to those values, you get retention. Our attrition is almost zero. We have people who want to be there, who are going above and beyond for their clients because they care about where they are. And so for the long term, that's where we feel like if we focus there, the rest happens.
Are you able to find the talent that you want in the market right now? I mean, I think the unemployment rate is starting to tick up a little bit, but overall, it's still a very tight labor market. And when you want some unique talents, high-grade skills, it can be even tougher to get. So are you able to find the talent that you need right now to sustain or to support your growth?
We are. We're lucky right now, as I say, we don't take it for granted, but a lot of people want to work for us. I think some of the recent recognition has been helpful. We're in a position where I wish we had more roles to fill. I think our recruiting is in a really good spot. So it hasn't been an issue of finding talent, it's just been an issue of when we're ready to bring those people on. Because we also take those decisions seriously. We want to make sure we're hiring people at the right times. We never want to have too many people. We never want to have too few people either. Right. But yeah, talent acquisition and kind of that front end has not been an issue for us yet, but we also work with good recruiting professionals as well.
Can you talk about that onboarding process a little bit as well? Because I think we're in between right now. We're not going back, I know, where we were, 4.5 years ago, where everybody was coming to the office 5 days a week, and we're probably not going to stay fully remote either. So there's this hybrid work environment that's still being sorted out. Where is Aminad kind of on that spectrum? And how do you sustain your company culture when you've got people who aren't necessarily physically present there?
So we are much closer to the remote side. We have the nucleus of our company is in the DC area, sort of about 50%, but we have close to 40 employees in 10 different cities across America. For our onboarding, we fly all our new employees in, and then twice a year the whole company flies in for company events and company meetings. We really think a lot about how to maintain a close touch culture in a remote environment, and we're very deliberate about it. We have monthly culture events, whether it be wine tasting or cheese tasting or other food and drink tasting, a lot of tastings. But we really invest in those events because they're meaningful when you can't have everyone together all the time. For our local people, we only get together once a month in the office, but the office is available for them at any time. We really trust in our people to leverage the office when they want to, but also they value that flexibility and sort of the way we're building the culture.
What about training specifically for the supervisors who have to manage this remote workforce? Any lessons learned there or best practices that you can share?
Yeah, we definitely take an apprenticeship model to training on all counts. So I think a lot of that is us just working with new managers to ensure that they similarly never take that for granted, the ability to connect with employees at all levels in different places. One thing that we're working to do is to continue to evolve our training, to have more formal training on topics such as that. But really for us with remote employees and maintaining that connection, a lot of it is just about ensuring that we're consistent in our reach outs. We're consistently ensuring that we're asking our employees how they're feeling, how they feel about the connections with us. So employees of all levels are given that training.
Outside of talent management, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges right now in the general business or market environment, whether that's inflationary pressures or geopolitical, geostrategic issues? What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the budget uncertainty that we spoke to before. Yeah. And like I mentioned, we really can't excel in scenarios where budgets are increasing or decreasing, but that budget uncertainty has really been the biggest business risk that we've seen. However, we do feel confident in the things we've put in place to mitigate that.
And we all know that nobody gets to one of these positions without strong mentors. Are there any mentors that you would like to mention and some of the lessons learned that they taught you?
Sure. Can I mention names?
Absolutely.
I have a few. So I think my parents were probably the biggest mentors in my life. I spoke to that. My co-founder of Sensio Consulting, Raj Sharma, he really taught me how important values were in starting an organization, and that became my personal and professional passion, and I credit him for that. On the government side, Dave Clifton, who's a client that I had at Sensio and at Aminad, he really showed me what it means to be a client who really wants the best out of you and wants the best for the government. And I always wanted to ensure that I was running a company that could answer all of Dave Clifton's questions. And that meant a lot to me when he would be satisfied after briefings. And I think that level of quality has kind of set a standard for me on how I want to run the firm. And those three folks really jump out. Those three groups of people jump out to me.
Well, as somebody who worked for Dave Clifton once upon a time, I know exactly what you're talking about. He can be a demanding customer.
Yes, but a wonderful one. Of course.
So where do you see Aminad in 5 years?
So I think we have a very compelling value proposition for both employees and for customers, and we want to continue to grow. We've grown rapidly. We want to continue that pace. However, I always answer that question with the most important thing is we want to build the best firm culture of any consulting firm in the world. That sounds ambitious. I think it's realistic for us. And so, we're going to continue to grow. If at any point that culture starts to crack, our people don't seem happy, we're not providing that level of quality, then we're just going to, pause. We're not trying to hit artificial revenue targets. I'm not trying to grow to sell. We're trying to do this to build somewhere that is wonderful for our people. And that's the most important thing. So we have our targets. We want to continue to grow, but the culture and building a place that's wonderful for our people is the most important thing.
Well, as the president and CEO, you have to have that compelling vision. And I'm sold and look forward to seeing you again in 5 years.
Great, thank you.
I'd like to thank today's guest, Lido Ramadan, President and CEO of Aminad Consulting, for providing his insights into how he and his team have developed a remarkable culture stemming from the company's core values that supports their growth strategy and addresses the opportunities and risks they see in the federal market. Watch The Business of Defense next month, where we bridge the gap between the boardroom and the battlefield, and between the flight line and the bottom line to advance the mission of national security. Visit sdfm.org to learn more about our defense financial management community. Register for upcoming educational events, professional development opportunities, and our Certified Defense Financial Manager certification program. I'm Rich Brady, CEO of the Society of Defense Financial Management. You are listening to the Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search SDFM. Thank you.